Hi, and I want to talk about narcissistic abuse. And certainly a lot of individuals that are in relationships with someone that they know or believe that they have narcissistic personality disorder, a lot of times there is also an abusive factor associated with those relationships. And the abuse can certainly be physical, can be psychological, can be emotional. And it's really, really difficult to manage because what happens is that a lot of narcissists, what they want to do or try to do is to seclude their partner from others. They want to minimize and lessen their interpersonal circle so that the partner only has the narcissist to depend on. And what happens in those situations, when you have a singular individual that someone else is dependent on, that really gives that other person this intensive amount of power and control. And what we see is that, here's your healthy relationship, right? It's nice and balanced. And what your narcissist wants to do is that they want to isolate their partner in many cases so that they have sort of this freedom, lack of a better word, this freedom to manipulate, gaslight, or control that other individual. And the reason why, in my clinical experience, of course, this isn't true for everybody because there's a lot of individual differences, but I would say there's a preponderance when in those situations when we see the relationships that I'm talking about here, where the partner is isolated, the narcissistic individual needs that for a sense of control. It causes them to feel safe, but it is an unhealthy sense of safe, right? Safe, we think, oh, safe, that's a great word. Can also be maladaptive. A maladaptive sense of safety is that person in the relationship whom you're trying to just isolate from the rest of the world and control is still a person. They still have a degree of free will, and they can still operate independently within those very limited and small parameters. And what happens is that even within those small parameters, still issues occur that the narcissistic individual then gets nervous, gets afraid, their core content get activated. Now that's that belief, feelings, images that we all hold inside ourselves. And it's not all just negative, but for the narcissist, it's often fear, shame, doubt, guilt, and inferiority. And imagine those five things, those five classic core content traits that the individual, the narcissistic individual, is trying to isolate that other person so they have a sense of control, so then they don't have that activation. And I'm in no way trying to say that it's appropriate or anything like that. We're just explaining kind of the impetus for the abuse. And sometimes a lot of individuals, when I've done couples work with one individual who's along narcissistic spectrum, the other individual who's that isolated individual, that we try to understand that it is a poor sense of psychology management, that the narcissist is really using a maladaptive pattern in order for them to feel safe, but it doesn't work. I mean, you can't put somebody in a box every day so that you'll feel safe. And let's just talk about worst case scenario, and let's say that individual is literally in a box. So I'm leaving. You're going to go in the closet. I'm going to lock the closet so you can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. So what happens is that isn't even a protective feature, because what happens is that when you come home and you open the closet thinking that that's how I fully control this person, I won't do anything, but the closet looks funny. Maybe the coats are different, or stuff is falling on the ground, or who knows what. So then what happens is that narcissistic individual that needs this sense of isolation and control over someone else for them to feel safe, then they still feel unsafe because it is a maladaptive sense of safety. And for the partner, I think that they have to realize that the more isolated you are, the more alone you feel, and that's scary. And then what do? That's why support groups are essential. That's why good mental health therapy, therapists who can manage that are very, very important. And it is important to reach out to those individuals, to start building your interpersonal circle with people that understand and not judge, people who are compassionate, not harsh, people who can help you grow as an individual so you build a greater sense of self. And when I do this type of therapy with the identified other, with the partner, right, the isolated partner, what I'm trying to do is I try to build their sense of self, build their sense of confidence, because a lot of times the narcissistic abuse wears away at that. And that's how they're able to isolate the individual and have a greater sense of control over that individual. And if you're in that situation, please reach out. There's a lot of resources out there that can help you. And you don't have to be stuck, because it's that sense of loneliness that gives that narcissistic individual that false sense of safety, but it never, ever, ever works. It is so maladaptive and so problematic. And a lot of times, anyone with a personality disorder, one of those universal criteria is impaired insight. So that individual, they don't see it. They don't realize that what they're engaging in is actually the exact opposite of what they want. What they want is to feel safe. Well, you can't feel safe by trying to fully and totally control another individual. It doesn't work. It never worked. Even putting them in the closet doesn't work. Putting them in a box doesn't work. So what happens is that the individual is constantly in this sense of fear. They need the treatment, but they have to be willing to go to treatment for themselves. They have to be willing to face those things that created fear, shame, doubt, guilt, and inferiority. And a lot of times they don't want to do it, and a lot of times they're afraid to do it. But if we're talking to the partner, that's not the partner's problem. That's not for the partner to try to solve. And sometimes like, but I really love him or her, and I really want to have this relationship, and I really want it to work out. That means you do your part. That's your half, so to speak. They have to be able to do their half and their part. And if they're not willing to do that, then you have to not only explore yourself, but explore options for yourself. But if you are in that isolated condition, you have to look at that and start to work to expand your social circle with healthy others. That's so, so important. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope if you need help, I hope you're able to reach out and find it. I wish you all the best, and please, please be safe. Thank you. Take care and be well.